I get a lot of people that want to know how to change a flat or replace tubes if you get a flat during an event. I'm going to show everything on the rear wheel because everybody freaks out because of the gears. So I'll show you on the rear wheel, it's exactly the same on the front. You have a tire, you have the rim. Inside the rim is a tube, and this valve stem is attached to that tube. Some of them are threaded, like this, and they sometimes come with these little metal thingies. I get this question a lot, do we need to make these things tight? The only purpose these things really serve is to prevent this thing from doing this, rattling around while you're riding. Other than that, they have no purpose. If you try tightening this down and keep tightening, the rim's metal, the tube inside is made out of rubber. You're now pulling a metal tube and drawing that tube, which is rubber, right through it, and you're gonna rip a hole in it. So usually just put them tight enough that, just finger tight. This one's on here. Just finger tight so it doesn't rattle around a little bit. To take the wheel off the bike, there's a quick release on the brakes. It's this little lever on the side here. What that does is that opens up the brake pads so the tire can pass through it more easily. They're both on the front and the rear. On the non-drive side, there's a little lever. Little lever here. You just pull this thing open and the wheels are going to fall right off the bike. One thing to do is try to figure out what maybe gave you the flat. If you think you ran something over, just to do a quick visual inspection, see if there's a nail or a piece of glass or a staple or something that you can pull out. Usually you have a little seat pack underneath here with a couple of tools in them. One tool should be a set of tire levers. They help you unseat the tire so you can take the tire off the bike easily. I'm peeling it back hard with my thumb. That's the metal surface of the rim. That's the lip of the tire. It's called the bead. This little edge hooks into there, and you pry it back. It's actually designed so it can hook onto there. And you can do the same thing about another spoke distance, a couple of spokes or a hand distance away. Usually, sometimes you hear that little pop. That's the tire breaking over the top of that rim. And then you just drag it around. What that does is it just takes the tire off the rim. If you know you just ran something over and you're just trying to fix it so you can keep going, you don't have to take the tire completely off. I usually start opposite the valve, which is usually where the reflectors are on the bike. You pull out the old tube. Multiple ways of finding out what gave you the flat. Do a visual inspection. You can run your hand along the inside of here. If you have a little pump, you can pump some air up in the tire before you take it off. And if you notice air is leaking out of here, well, over here somewhere is what gave you the flat. And just see what it is. If you see two little holes, it's probably a pinch flat. And that's usually when you're riding along, the tire compresses and hits the rim, and it just pinches the tube in there. When you get these brand new right out of the box, they're going to be completely flat. Open up the valve and let a little bit of air in there, even if you just take a pump and give it a little hit or just blow on it a little bit just to give it some shape. It makes it easier to put in. Start at the valve stem, put the valve stem in the rim, and then you just put the tire, you put the tube right back inside the tire. And you should start at the valve. You put the tire back in. And as you see, I'm just pushing along with my thumbs, just rolling that tire back in. An example of what not to do is as you're going around, that's a little bit too much, part of the tube might actually be outside of the rim or in between the rim and the tire itself, and you can put it all the way on. If you go to inflate it there, this is just rubber. It's going to inflate like a balloon and it's going to pop itself because it's not inside the tire. Just make sure it gets all the way back inside the tire. Kind of like we rolled it back and we use that pointy edge to pull the tire off the rim. Now we just turn the tool over. Now that's going to hook the rim and it's going to push the tire back on. And that just pushes it back on. And then you just do a quick little check to make sure that tube isn't sticking out. I do it by feel, but just do a quick inspection. I know you're in the middle of an event usually when this happens and you're all panicky. If you mess this up, you're going to be doing it all over again. They make little pumps, which I love. I use this thing personally. It's a CO2 inflator, and we sell CO2 inflators. But this is a CO2 inflator that's also doubles as a little hand pump in case you use up all your CO2s. Basically, you put this on the valve. You turn it on like a faucet. It fills up the tire. You turn it off. And you're done. So now that derailleur, this part of the bike, is now in the way of where the tire wants to go. Just shift it. When there's no wheel in there, it doesn't matter when you shift. Shift it so the derailleur is completely out of the way. When you put the wheel back on the bike, Just get the chain in there. You don't even have to touch it, usually. Don't lie to me. There we go. And just drop the bike onto it. The weight of the bike kind of pushes it down. Close that lever over. Before you do get on and start riding, pedal it once or twice. I put it a little sideways. What it's going to do is, I don't know if you heard it, it sounded like it was shifting. It just shifted into the gear that I put it in. Now you can get on and ride and you'll have no problem.